I also knew if it was a real heart attack, it would persist. I wouldn't make it through. I wouldn't be able to talk about Carl and Lindsay if I was having a real heart attack.
Oh my God. It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margee McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margee McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Margee. I am Ramona Ramirez. It's really, really good to see you. I
You
know
too.
our schedule has been off because I was traveling and I don't remember what else right now, top of mind, but
Summer,
summer,
just
yeah.
summer.
It just, I feel so discombobulated right now, and this is such a grounding part of my life. And so I feel a little unmoored, traveling, like my running around before we were started, like, where are my headphones? What travel bag were they in? We just got back, and it takes me a couple days sometimes to recalibrate my life. And I feel very uncalibrated right now.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to be doing this right now.
In 12-step
Yeah.
rooms, I learned that concept of re-entry, which was so helpful after like any trip or like any big experience that there's like there you need to like give your whole system like a minute to do exactly what you're saying, to like
Yeah.
recalibrate and reorient and I don't know. It's helpful to know that like 24 to 48 hours after touching down from being somewhere else, not a it's not a tragedy if I'm not like completely myself or totally
Yeah.
organized and all that stuff.
Oh, God. It's just, I don't know why I have such a hard time with it. I really do. I really have a hard time with it. And that's okay. I
Yeah.
don't need to focus on that right now.
We can focus
That's
on
not why
other
we
people's
called.
problems. We can
Yeah. Let's
focus
focus
on
on other people's problems. Yes. Yes.
um
We're back to discuss the second slash last installment of the Summer House Season 8 reunion. This is the second part, last part. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I just felt like I wondered if you noticed this too, that there was like we've talked about before how uh, the concept of being a designated patient, like in your family or in your relationship. And I thought this episode gave us a good look at what that's like. And we'll get there, but I specifically really mean Amanda Batula, like taking the full hit. Let's recall Kyle called her lazy, Kyle called her a bitch. Kyle said he's lonely when he's with her and he doesn't want to live with her where in the only place she wants to be. And it basically like boo to Bravo for just wrapping it up with Amanda being like, well, I'm depressed, so that's why. And everyone was like, poor Kyle, I was like, excuse
Yeah.
me, this is an incomplete conversation, everybody. Like,
Right.
I
And
loved
then,
Amanda for talking about depression, but I was like,
mhm.
why is everyone like, oh, then I guess it's okay that he called her a lazy bitch? It's like, I don't know. The two are not, I don't
And the
know.
way they wrapped it up, like, yeah, like with the mental health issue, it just sounded so like you wouldn't say, yeah, the diabetes issue or, the cancer issue or
The
you know,
allergy issue that, like,
right,
the
like
way Amanda
anything. It just,
described it was so beautiful, saying, like, because Andy's like, "What were you depressed about?" And it's like, "Come on, dude, evolve a little bit." But I loved her for being like, "It wasn't about anything. It runs in my family. I have to deal with it from time to time." And like you're saying, you treat it like a flare up, like a eczema flare up, like an allergy flare up, like an old injury that's acting up again. You just have to change your behavior and treat it for a period of time until it's better. It's
right.
not the mental health issue. That's the
Yeah.
designated patient shit of like, I'm going to other her. She
Yep.
has this thing and
Yep.
it's a real problem for me. So now I'm a DJ. Okay, buddy.
Jesus. And I mean, here's the thing. All I see of Kyle is that he spends every single weekend wasted. I know they're on the show, but w- to me, he's the identified patient. In my opinion, that is the identified patient, not Amanda. Amanda seems, I mean, yes, she didn't want to go to therapy, which I always think is a red flag. I don't have any business. commenting on that one way or the other because it's all I fucking know. It's all I've known since I was 16 is that's the answer. Some sort of therapy is the answer. But I was it you know, it's not something I can be neutral about any longer. Um, Probably gave that right up to be neutral about my stance on therapy, years ago, but it did not it she did go, and that's what counts, is that she did go honest on a national platform about her mental health struggles, her mental health diagnosis, what it looks like, how it manifests for her, which is different for everybody. There are similar brands, but no two depressions are exactly alike. No two depressions I've had have been exactly alike. So,
And she
yeah.
talked about medication, which is your whole
Yep.
thing, better living through
Better
chemistry.
limited
It's like,
chemistry, absolutely.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I just say that, like, the whole point is nobody's the designated patient.
Mhm.
Everybody's fucked up and
Everybody.
everybody needs help.
Mhm.
And this whole, like, angling toward, like, mental health as being weird or different or harder. It's like Lindsay and Carl are the same. Like, Lindsay may not have a Coke addiction, but she has an addiction to control, to vanity, to money, I might say. Like, she has other things at play. So everyone's a patient. Nobody's perfect. Oh, well.
Nobody.
So it's just,
Jesus, nobody is perfect.
yeah.
Oof. No. No, no,
Certainly
no,
not
no.
West, and we start just sort of
Ay, ay, ay.
recapping
Yeah.
that last moment
Yeah.
with Sierra and West, and I love Paige just clarifying that she wouldn't actually kill West, but Sierra is her friend, and so when she's done with you, I don't know you. It's like,
Yeah.
love it.
I mean, I have subscribed to that brand
Oh,
of
you do. It's so
friendship,
lovely.
you know? Yeah. And I will yes. And then I plan the little fantasies in my head of how I'll make that person feel shame, and no one gives a shit about what I'm gonna do.
But it's
And, you know,
for satisfying for your friends
I'm
as one of
glad.
them.
Yeah, God bless me and the way my brain works and the way I fantasize about conversations I'd like to have with people that I hate and how I would own them. And the truth of the matter is that, like, nothing is ever as good as a fantasy, right?
Exactly.
All
Isn't
right.
that the truth? And I feel like, honestly, that applies to Lindsay and Carl.
Yep.
Lindsay wanted a fantasy and she was willing to, like, be completely unhappy to have a fantasy wedding and a garbage marriage. And, like, Carl wasn't, and
Yeah.
therefore they were not a match. So good for them.
No.
I don't know what goes on in Amanda and Kyle's marriage, but
I don't either.
some days I'm convinced that they're the perfect match. And then other days I'm like, this seems like it could tip into abuse, like, real quick, but hard to say.
Yeah, I don't want to trade places with their couple dumb. I don't want to trade places with them as individuals either, but that's not I mean, I don't relate to Kyle on many, many levels. I obviously found commonalities with Amanda, especially in this episode, but, yeah, like Mariah Carey gif, I don't know her. I don't know her,
I don't know her.
you know? Any hoot. Yeah, so Wes and Sierra, West's biggest regret is he doesn't have regrets. He apologizes for hurting her. His feelings were genuine. He expressed himself too late.
That's
He's
what did that
sorry.
mean?
I
That
don't
that
know.
didn't mean anything.
I don't know.
I don't
It's
understand
painful for
him.
him too, and it's his fault. He knows that it's his fault. And yeah, and Ciara is not really moved by anything he says. She still has feelings for him. He still has feelings for her, and I didn't listen. I have been Ciara, where you've been hurt by that person, that you've been trying to protect yourself from being hurt, and you can't give up the feelings, and you're like, "Oh, god damn it." Like,
Mm.
you wonder, like, "Oh, could anything change? Could he be the person that I've built him up to be in my head? Could we have the fairy tale?" And he's 29 is all I have to say. I feel like and again, I know there are tons of people all over the world that get married in their 20s, and it it works for them, in whatever that I personally and again, I only have my experience. of not meeting my husband until I was 38, but, like, I can't imagine. And I'd had plenty of life experience under my belt by the time I was 29 or however old Wes was when he filmed. Maybe he was 28 when they filmed, but it's like, fuck, can't imagine getting married in my 20s. Cannot
No.
fathom it. Mm-mm.
Well, and I think Wes knew that. I think that's the whole problem is Sierra said, "I wanna get married." Wes knows he's in a fuckboy era, which is totally fine. I
Right.
encourage everyone to do that, but it's just like he really just abused her trust and, I was sort of on his side for a while thinking like maybe he's just like a dum dum and like this'll change him. He'll get it now. And then I listened to him on some podcast and I was like, "Oh no, it's really what Paige says." Like he really only cares what the public thinks of him, and, like, Sierra's just another girl, and that's a bummer.
And she's so not just like another girl. And I'm not saying just because she's on a TV show, not that any girl is just another girl, but she was honest with him from the get-go about what she wanted and how she dates intentionally.
Mhm.
She wasn't like, "Oh, it's cool, whatever," like she lived she vocalized her boundaries, she lived her boundaries. This was not a surprise to anyone. We all knew what she wanted and we're virtual strangers watching her.
Right.
We're legitimate strangers watching her,
Yeah.
and we knew what she wanted. And so yeah, and I love that during the cut to break, Paige keeps it real. She's like, "He doesn't give a shit. He only cares what the public thinks." It's
Yeah,
true, and that's so disappointing,
it is, but
you
it's
know?
also totally understandable. It's just the whole thing of, like, the truth is kind, like, if he had just said, like I mean, apparently Sierra set him up for it, saying, like, off camera, "You're about to blow up, and this is gonna be real, like, women are gonna be clamoring for your attention, and I'm after something very different, but I understand if you wanna pursue that," and he was like, "No, no, meet my family, go to this wedding," and, like, I don't know. I appreciated seeing that I don't know if you noticed, but he's lifted up his arm, and it showed that he'd soaked through his shirt and jacket with sweat, this huge, like, monster
I
pit
did
stain of,
not
like,
notice that,
shame and
thankfully.
stress, and
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
I call that dog sweat. Like, when dogs
Why?
get that when they're nervous, like, taking them to the vet, and all of a sudden you're like the car's, like, got this, like, weird dog smell, and you're like,
Yes.
"Fuck, my dog is stressing."
So funny.
Anyway, that's what I call that, but yeah.
And then, as we come back from break, the AD calls out like 10 seconds, Andy, here we come. And then Jesse Solomon goes like, here we come, Andy. And he like had to get like a weird, and I just immediately flashed back to like why I hate musical theater majors. And I was like, you don't have to do that. And like, why do you do it with a vibrato? And like, it's just so like, ugh. I don't
Was
know.
he a musical theater major?
I don't
Or
know
you
what
just made you think that?
no, I think he does have some classical singing, like, training, like, that's what he trained to do, like, jazz singing or something that would really drive me up a goddamn wall, but I think it's just that I heard that and I was like, "Okay, okay, that's fine," and then later on, we have a whole rendition of What Would Jesse Solomon Do, and I was like, "Can we fucking not do, like, Summer House Musical Theater, Summer House Summer
Oh,
Stock? I
yeah,
don't need this
yeah,
shit.
you're right, you're right.
Here we come, Andy."
I
Just like,
sing shit though,
why?
Margie, like, I
Not in a
do.
way that's ever bothered me. There's something
Oh,
different about a singer singing shit. I'll tell you, I remember going to orientation at the University of Michigan. I was a musical theater major and I loved Michigan. The campus is gorgeous. I was staying in a dorm with football players. I was like, this is going to be great. And then I had to take a bus to go to North Campus where the music school is. And I got on there with all the other musical theater majors, and it was
oh
someone's
no,
goddamn birthday. And
oh no.
everyone's goes, "Happy, happy, happy, happy birthday." And it was just like this huge it was beautiful, I guess, but there was a bus driver and other people, and I was like, "This is fucking embarrassing. It's lasting too long. Everyone's performing, no one's singing for like a nice blend. Everyone's just singing to be the one to have like the riff at the" anyways, it wasn't about someone's birthday. It was
Oh
about like,
god,
"Here's my
oh
voice."
god.
And I was like, "This may have been a mistake." It was
I'm
not.
getting flashbacks,
Oh,
yeah, no me gusta, no me gusta.
so that Jesse Solomon singing, I was just like, "Oh, you're the guy on the bus who started that happy birthday." I don't eat it. Anyways,
That's hilarious.
onward, sorry.
Oh god. Uh,
Kyle
the
and
next note I
Amanda.
have is about the Kyle and Amanda package. Yeah. Yeah. I No, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed to sort of launch with this idea of suburban living and Kyle saying, "I can't move to the suburbs if I'm in a one-way relationship with you because it's lonely as fuck being married to you because you don't talk to me." And then Kyle seems to make this weird new qualification that he's like, "No, no, I'm fine moving to the suburbs once our kids are old enough to wanna play outside." And everyone on the stage was like, "What are you doing, dude?" It's like, "Do you wanna live in the suburbs?" Is a yes or no answer, and I don't and Amanda was like, "This is a new wrinkle in this discussion, but, like, okay, I guess when it's time for them to ride bikes, we can move where I wanna go."
Is this what we call moving the goalposts?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't Kyle is so I just don't feel like I know him other than just, like, drinking and the fucking Evil Knievel outfit and the fucking disgusting ass, stupid, contrived ass mullet and, you know, lover boy. Like, okay, that's what I know about you. What I know about Amanda is that she has friends that are gonna have a come to Jesus with her in the Old Navy, you know, and that she likes to wear a lot of hats and that, she is creative and she has needs and she has wants, and she does, in fact, talk to him, I would posit, because if I know these things and I'm a stranger, she wouldn't know me on the street. He must know these things and other things, and then, okay, well, if she doesn't talk to you, why? Why are you married still? That's a stupid question. That's a
No,
very
it's not.
complicated, but,
It's I mean, it's the question that the viewer asked of, like, how does Amanda reconcile staying with Kyle when he says he's lonely in their relationship? And this is where Amanda says, in Kyle's defense, "Over the past year, I was on the road to becoming very depressed." And this is where I just want to point out, bravo, editors, boo. They start playing this like tense, mysterious music. She was like, "I was on the road to being very depressed." And it was like, dun, 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 dun. What's wrong? Something's wrong. Something's very wrong. And I was like, nothing's wrong. She just, and I thought she described it beautifully. She says, "I was checked out, not really talking to my friends." So she was withdrawing and isolating, but it's insidious. And she also discussed that, saying, like, I guess it happens later, where she said it just kind of like crept up on her. She didn't like, I was struggling more than I realized, and it really hit me later. So I could see how he felt lonely because I felt lonely too. Um, but in the interim, Andy asked her what was she depressed about, and this is where she says, "I'm just a person who has depression, and I was having an episode, and I got mental health care, and I am on medication, and I am feeling so much better." And I
right,
loved her for being an
right.
antidepressant advocate.
Me too, and then she's like, "I can't recommend it enough." Like, "I recommend medication if you are feeling unhappy, I recommend medication," and I was like, "Thank you." And oh god, I wish I could remember right now. She said that she some change had happened, and it triggered that last bout of depression.
The wedding,
The wedding, okay.
and she
So
said
oh,
it
that's
just
right,
kept getting worse, and then
right.
after BravoCon, she bottomed out.
So I will say that, and this is very humbling, this is what I could relate to so much. So, she said she's been feeling when she's been playing catch up ever since,
Mm.
and or something that's how I interpreted it. So, I moved in with Josh after we got engaged, and I got depressed. And I didn't know it was depression because here I am moving in with the man of my dreams. I'm engaged. I'm taking the summer off to, get oriented in San Diego. Um, a lot of my best friends were down there, and the weather is beautiful, and I should be happy, right? Well, every fucking day, I was like, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to make myself a smoothie, and then I'm going to unpack my boxes and cut to it's 5 and I'm rushing to, like, put on clothes and, like, clean up the kitchen because Josh will be home soon. And all day, I've just sat on the couch watching, I think at that time it was the Casey Anthony trial. So I've just had Nancy Grace in my head all fucking day, which shows you where I was at. And I'm feeling like shit because I didn't do anything. And I have a high functioning fiance. And if someone had told me that it was a depression kicking in from these good changes in my life, I would have been like, what? So I never for a minute saw it coming because how could a depression be born from anything but chaos or heartbreak or just my brain chemistry needing to be adjusted? So then, 3 months after that, we pack up one car, ship some boxes to Chicago. My husband goes off to work. I'm in the Midwest for the very first time in my life. I'm completely cut off from my friends, completely cut off from my family. I'm hearing an accent that isn't like computing in my fucking brain. I'm in real weather for the first time. And the most important part of this is that, oh, fuck. Okay. The most important part of this is that I don't recognize my fiance for the very first time in my life. Ever since I've met him, even before we were officially dating, he has been attentive, listening, palpably happy to be interacting with me. Once he starts working for the Obama campaign, I can't just like call him in the middle of the day and say what's up. Like he is just stressed and goes from zero to workaholism, which was the job he'd had before I met him. So when I met him, he was working a gig where he got to like quasi call the shots. And so he was going in at 10 and leaving at 6. And we would and this was like before phones after work hours were like really like hardcore, at least in my life and in his. That changed. That changed the minute we got to Chicago. And he had a work phone and his regular phone. Anyway, my point is that the depression that I didn't recognize in San Diego then just fucking snowballed once we were in Chicago for that year. And then we got back from the election and we were broke, cranky, like just so under resourced, just so fucking under resourced financially, under resourced emotionally, under resourced physically, under resourced just to the nth degree. There is a reason why there are children operating those campaigns. Like if you are not in your 20s, it's still going to be the most satisfying job that you ever do, I would posit. But like bouncing back. I don't know. Everyone else that was younger than me seemed to do it. I fucking didn't. So of course I beat myself up for that too. So then we moved to Chicago. And again, I'm isolated from everybody. We moved to San Francisco. And it was more of the same. His job was just as demanding, even though the stakes, in my opinion, weren't/aren't as high. He since left that job. But yeah. And then I had a kid. And I still feel like I'm bouncing back. And I made these changes in my life in 2011, And it's 13 years later, and I'm finally feeling like things are starting to settle. And that is humbling to admit to people, but and again, it came from a completely unexpected I didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. And medication has definitely been a constant throughout. Like it wasn't that summer, but like I got a therapist when we were in Chicago and then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my God, you're fucking depressed and you have crippling anxiety. I can't believe I didn't see this the minute you walked in the first time. Go see this man." So I took some train in Chicago, like some red train to a blue train or some shit, constantly on these goddamn primary colored trains. And like I tried Xanax for the first time and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't fucking believe it. Anyway, but I also became the identified patient because Josh can just work. All Josh needs, Josh in his previous life, all he needed was a place to sleep. He didn't even need a fucking legitimate drawer. He had a backpack. He lived out of backpacks for years. And he slept on a bus for years or a hotel room for years. He needs
He was in a band, just in case
yes,
anyone's concerned.
he was in a band and toured for
'Cause
years, and so, yes, like, he lived on a bus and lived in hotels in between gigs, and so he needs very little. He is a rock, he is an island, and then once he's pivoted his careers, now all he needs is a job. All he needs is
look,
work.
but everyone has their thing, you know? Like,
Right,
that's the whole point is, like, weirdly getting help, at least in my experience, has opened me up to being targeted as, like, a problem or a black
right,
sheep or, like, poor Margie, and it's like, actually, you notice who you call when you're having a crisis? It
right.
me,
Yeah,
because my brain has been stabilized with lots of help and support.
yeah,
But it's also, like, for people who don't wanna look at themselves, it's a really quick, easy, get out of jail free card to be like, "Margie is still in therapy. 20 years. Can you believe that
totally,
shit?" It's like, yeah, well,
totally.
um, yeah, and
Yeah.
this was, um this was just disappointing. I just felt like Andy really I just thought it was, I guess maybe it's just me. I found it so harmfully impactful, Kyle calling Amanda a bitch. And again, it's partially because it's certainly not the first time this has happened. This happened a lot before they got married. And she's found ways to work through slash forgive his infidelity and his acting out. And now it's her turn for a little compassion, and instead it's like, "Poor Kyle, he really no wonder he freaked out." And, like, that just was I felt I don't know, I just wish Andy had, like, a little more sensitivity to the dynamics of depression and relationships, and you're not doing someone a favor by being in a relationship with them if they have depression. You're just in a relationship with someone who has depression, the way you'd be in a relationship with someone who has a limp or someone who has I don't fucking know, but it just
Right,
still is just as much as I appreciated Amanda advocating for treatment and drugs and all that stuff, I still just feel like I left this segment feeling like, "Oh, it's over? That's it? Okay." But maybe Andy just, like, has a crush on Kyle, or I don't know what's going on.
I mean, Andy is not one that we should ever look at to be the voice of, um, morality or I would say compassion. I mean, listen,
Especially not for women, I hate to say it, but, like,
no.
he really is all in on Carl's journey, and he came down hard on Lindsay, but in this instance, it was like, "Oh, Amanda was weird. No wonder Kyle was lonely.
Yeah,
Okay. Anyways,"
yeah.
like, and then we do move into Andy asked Amanda, "Do you feel better now?" I was like, "Jesus, dude." And that's when she said, "Drugs are great. She's on antidepressants, and they've helped her enormously." And then we get into this piece of, Sierra explaining that she'd encouraged Amanda to think about what inspires her because, Kyle is her everything, but not her only thing. And also, for someone who's depressed, it's important that they find hobbies and interests to keep them here on this planet, not to be dramatic.
No,
But if
you're
your
right.
sole purpose for existing is to support someone else, that's not going to cut it very long because then you don't exist if they don't need you or if they're not
Right.
around. So,
Oof, what a
Sierra was
waste.
doing a massive service. And then Kyle claims he regrets not immediately supporting Amanda's interest in launching a bikini line, but then promptly blames her mental health. He goes, "Due to her mental health struggles, I couldn't imagine her taking on anything else." It's like she wasn't trying to take anything on.
God.
She was trying to express herself and get out of this cage that she'd found herself in. And yes, drugs help you. It opens the gate of the cage, but like you're the one who has to take the steps out of the cage. And it really helps if there's something exciting on the other side of the cage to look forward to stepping out for your bikini line or your whatever. Sadly, she still doesn't have an answer to what she's interested in pursuing. She's still Kyle's wife, but that was a bummer.
I mean, honestly, can I if I'm honest, I and I just thought of this, like, my favorite thing about Kyle is Amanda.
Hmm. I mean, I like the things about Kyle that she listed. I like that he's friendly and outgoing. He seems great at a party. But, like, I don't know how you build, like, a lifelong partnership and parent with someone like that. Maybe they don't intend to parent together. Maybe he'll be one
And
of
I
those
mean, he's
dads.
10 years older than
I know,
her.
I know. Yikesies.
Yeah, Yikesies is right. There listen,
It's
I can't
true.
yeah,
Because you would think at 10 years older that he would have the understanding that sometimes the solution to problems is counterintuitive. Like sometimes the solution to depression is do more things, but things
sometimes it
that
is.
make you happy.
Yep,
It's that whole the 12-step programs are based a lot on what's it called? Contrary action, where they say, like, do the deal in spite of what you think or feel, which can mean go to the job that you hate, even if you hate it. Or it can also mean take a creative
right.
risk, even though you think you're a piece of shit and it's futile. Like, a lot of
Yep.
it is just getting out of the habitual addictive thinking. It's part of my addiction, at least. My addiction is like, you're a piece of shit, sit still, stop using up resources. Those are for people who matter. And like,
Oh god,
but
friend.
I can
I
acknowledge
know.
that and
I know.
identify that that's like not healthy thinking.
I know.
But the fact that Kyle doesn't even allow room for that, he's like, good, now she's on drugs, so she'll be better. I'm a DJ. Let's move on. Blech.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I don't take Kyle seriously. Good luck with Loverboy, honestly, like, I is it? I've never had one. I'm assuming it's another one of those, like, White Claw, like is it like a malt liquor cocktail? I listen, I don't I don't do malt liquor. I didn't do malt liquor once I left middle school, okay? No, freshman year of high school. That's when I don't know how we got them, but we ended up with 40 ounces of what the fuck was it called? Old
Mickey's?
English?
Oh, yeah, OE.
Sometimes. What was the one with the bronze and red label?
That's Old English.
Was it Old E? Was
Uh-huh.
it Yeah, okay, so it was Old English. Shout out to fucking Bellingham, Washington. Don't got nothing else to do in high school, so you go to some party with your fresh pack of clove cigarettes and, you're, never mind. Never mind. I don't wanna go back to fucking freshman year of high school in my
No, but it's important. I think it's important to talk about because sometimes, I don't know, malt liquor, the first thing I got drunk off was Boone's Strawberry Hill, and I
Oh,
had
yeah.
the time of my life. I loved it. And then the second time I got drunk was playing Edward 40 hands with Mickey's, where you duct tape 40s to your hands and you have to drink them. And then I did not have fun. I was like, oh, I see very clearly how drinking can be a joyful blast and it can be an absolute waking nightmare.
I don't know how you didn't end up in the hospital after drinking
I don't
80
either.
ounces of malt liquor.
I say it constantly. I should be dead 1,000 times over. The amount
Bruh.
of liquor I drank in college, we drank 6 nights a week, drank 6 nights a week, and I was still doing shit. I was performing, I was dancing. I was like, I don't know how the fuck I survived that. Made very dangerous choices often, and, some I that's
Often.
how I know there is, like, a higher power because just based on, like, ounces in, I should be 6 feet under for sure. And it's just grace. It's not because 'cause I'm good or did anything right, and it's not because others who didn't make it did anything wrong. Like, there were some hazing deaths when I was in college, and I was like, "That could have been me in a fucking heartbeat." Edward 40 hands. I drank 21 shots on my 21st birthday. I should be
Oh
dead.
my god, Margie.
I threw up
Yeah.
in consecutive bathroom stalls. I went to the bathroom and put my head in my hands and went like, "Ugh," and threw up, and I was like, "Ew, gross." And then I moved to the next stall. I did the
Oh
same thing.
god.
It was disgusting. Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm sorry.
No, it's because you know what we're talking about? We reality TV is real life,
Mm.
and something these people went through and shared about triggered our memories that we look at through a mental health lens.
I mean,
And
basically who Kyle Cook is today is
yep,
who I was at the University of Michigan 25 years ago. So,
right.
like,
Which that to me,
fascinating.
yeah, I don't know. It's working for Kyle
It
and
is.
I don't know him. Oh, and
There we
then
go.
to I well, I this just I just the little pivot to Jesse
Mhm.
Solomon, well, that's the next note I have. I don't know about you.
Oh,
I know we
yeah.
get into Carl and
Uh,
Lindsay.
No,
Toot
no,
sweet,
Jesse
but
Solomon. We start with a, like, serenade, but yeah, but
yeah.
yeah.
I love how he wanted to share about his diagnosis so that he can help people. And again, like, it's why I share my shit after reading The Room, you know? I'm not gonna I don't want to make myself uncomfortable, by oversharing with people that I just met, but if the opportunity arises and it seems appropriate, even if I don't know someone very well, I'm gonna keep it as real as possible because, again, the more I normalize talking about depression, being an adult child of an alcoholic, having an eating disorder, having a hard time transitioning through, becoming a parent, whatever, whatever my life experiences are that might help another person, like I want to do that. And so it's easy for me to talk about this stuff now, and so if doing that helps someone else, then that is great, you know? And
I
that's feedback I used to get from when I would share in meetings like, "Dude, you're able to articulate how I'm feeling, and I didn't even know I was feeling that."
mm.
And I would feel so grateful, because I was just being me and sharing how, what it was like, what happened, and how it was like, what it was like now. And so, anyway, and he would have made a play for Ciara.
Who knows? He would have made play for anyone.
You're
This is
right.
where I
You're
do
right.
appreciate Jesse Solomon for just being solidly in his fuckboy. He's like, sure, if I find the person I want to be with for 60 years, I'll marry her. But in the meantime, throughout the season, it's just him in bed talking to a girl on FaceTime going, show me your tit.
Oh my
Like
god. Yeah,
he's just that.
totally.
But I appreciated that too, that he said he wants to encourage and inspire those who are going through chemo. And I thought this was nice that he added, or people who have someone they love undergoing that treatment, because caretaking is like a really big deal too when
Oh
someone you
god,
love
yeah.
is in crisis. And this is just the flip side of designated patient. You notice that nobody got squirrely or weird. Nobody was like, poor West for having to be friends with Jesse Solomon. He's so fucked up. Everyone's like, who cares that you only have one testicle? All we care about is that you've gotten some relief and that you are on a path to recovery. And it seems like a steady one. Hooray. What a different vibe in the room from dealing with Amanda and subsequently dealing with Carl.
Right.
It's just like those two are bad and they come from something bad and they did something wrong. And Jesse contracted something and dealt with it. And I would just venture, I would just
Right.
propose to everyone that it's actually the same.
It is.
Mental illness is a health problem. It's a health problem like any other. So, anyways, but Jesse Solomon, he's great. I hated him and then I loved him. And I think I'll leave this loving him. He seems great. The other thing I will say I
Yeah.
like that he said, Andy was pressing him about, like, why didn't you want to tell people? And he said, as a man, I didn't want to cry on camera, but he quickly corrected himself and said, I was wrong in feeling that way. It's clearly just an insecurity of mine. And I was like,
Yeah.
thank you for stating that so proudly and
I
clearly.
I just don't understand why we're not saying this on billboards every fucking day, 24 hours a day. Chirons at the bottom of things like, "Hey, men, it is okay to show emotions other than happiness and rage."
At any time, let alone when you're already down to one ball because
Mhm.
you've had cancer, the
Right.
scariest fucking diagnosis out there. Like, I don't know how he wasn't crying every minute leading up to that appointment. Like, I'm so glad that he let it happen. I'm so glad it was captured on screen. And I really did like West in that moment where he just hugged his friend who was scared and
Yeah.
upset. And
Yeah.
like that was lovely. And I'm so glad his outcome is positive, you
Me
know?
too. Me too. Absolutely. Yes. And now here we go
Oh
into
boy.
the e-ticket ride of the episode. E-ticket ride, by the way, e-ticket for y'all millennials on. When you went to Disneyland back in the 70s, you had to pay an admission to get in. And then throughout the park, there were ticket booths scattered, and you would go up and buy a ticket. And to go on a ride like Space Mountain or Big Thunder or Pirates of the Caribbean, it required an E ticket. And an A ticket was like, I don't know, probably like I think it was like the that whale ride, in Fantasyland, something like that. I don't even think the
The
people
storybook
mover
boat or
or
whatever the hell
right.
that was.
I don't even think the people mover or the, Skyway to Fantasyland or Tomorrowland, I don't even think those were A-tickets, like, those were legit fun, I wish they were both still there. My point is that that's what e-ticket means, it's the exciting thing, and now you don't need tickets to go on rides, you just
I
need a
had
bunch of
no
other
idea that
shit
was
on
a
an app.
thing.
Yeah,
We didn't get out here till, yeah, the '80s, so
yeah.
that
So,
was gone by then. Well, let's get on the ride.
let's get on
We're
the ride.
greeted. We've launched with Cocaine Carl and Lindsay just defending her terrible behavior, saying that she was on edge, so she drank a ton and claimed she felt dismissed by Carl. And then Kyle says it was all in her head, which was like just a shitty thing to say. Like, just be more thoughtful if you're going to fucking interrupt and overtalk. Because sadly, I think he's right. I think she probably did make a bigger deal out of this than it needed to be. But calling her delusional and saying she's manifesting problems, it's like that's not the issue. The issue is she needed something from her partner that he didn't give to her. And I would venture to say what she wanted from Carl was softness and kindness, the same shit that he asked her for. And she was like, fuck you, no. So again, my only takeaway is these two are not a match. They love each other, but they are not meant to be in a couple. They cannot satisfy the other's needs. They cannot, even in a car ride. Bleh.
Is Lindsay and this is gonna sound horrible. You know how some people just aren't soft and
Hmm.
cushy? Like, I don't know that they ever were gonna be those people that they're not. I don't know. I don't know if Carl is soft and cushy, Like, I don't he's calm. He strikes me as calm. Again, I can only go on what I saw, sober Carl. He strikes me as thoughtful and introspective, and we're all human, he'll have his moments of being a monster. Here's the thing though. Addicts are master manipulators. Carl is nothing like the brand of qualifiers I've had in my life. My brand of qualifiers are very different from Kyle.
Carl.
Carl, 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 Carl. God
Well,
damn this.
that's because they're still in their disease. Like Carl seems to be very earnestly working a program to the point where he put his recovery above the person he loved. He put his
Yeah,
recovery
he
above a
did.
marriage and he's taken a lot of heat for it, but I have great faith in his recovery because it's his priority. That wedding could have been postponed, but Lindsay doesn't want to. Clearly, she's already in love with someone else and fast tracking to the next marriage. So like it's not about Carl. It's not about how desperately she wants to be with him and work things out with him either.
Yeah.
It's just, but they get into, Carl lost me briefly when he tells Lindsay it was wrong of her to accuse him for being on a substance that he's, worked his ass off to stay away from for over a year. And I was like, yay. And then he goes, I hope you know an accusation like that can cause a relapse. And I was like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
Carl, you're
Yeah.
responsible for your own recovery. And you did right by your recovery by ending the engagement. But you can't, that's manipulative. That's what you're talking about.
Right.
Of
I
like, you
wrote,
can't make
"Can
this her.
it?" Question
No.
mark. Like, yeah, that seemed a little that was extremely sus.
Look, it's not great if like but that's why you left that relationship because she kept claiming something that was detrimental to you recovering, and so you left. That was the right
Yeah.
thing to do. Maybe that's what he meant, but it really came off like a, "You could have sent me off the deep end," and
Yeah,
it's like,
that
"No, no, 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 no,
no
no.
one you cannot cause it.
You didn't cause
You
it.
didn't
You
cause it.
can't cure it."
Can't cure it. Can't control it? What's the other
Yes, that's
C?
right.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't cause it, can't control it, can't cure it. That's right. Those are Al-Anon,
That's the
the
Al-Anon
3
Cs,
Cs.
the 3
Yes.
Cs, yeah. Does anyone wanna say what the 3 Cs are? Anyway, um, yeah. But every fucking apology Lindsay gives, because then Lindsay says it was wrong of her to make the cocaine Carl comment and says, "Sorry," but doesn't end there, she rationalized it, and I again, I've said this so many times on this podcast and in my real life. Sincere apologies are, "I'm sorry." End of sentence. Unless the following sentence is, "I did this, 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 and this," not even mentioning what the other person did, and then, "I'm sorry," again. Like, bookend the sorries if you must, but don't say, "I'm sorry, but."
And then the hallmark, if you're of whether or not someone is really sorry, is if they change their behavior on the other side of that.
Right,
And I feel
right.
like Lindsay says a lot of sorries, mostly sorry buts, and does nothing to change her behavior. She continues to attack Carl, blame Carl, even though at the end of this, she came out, she said, "He did us all a favor. The universe did us a favor. This match was not meant to be. She's moved on." I don't know. I don't believe anything she says. I don't feel for her. I just don't. And
Right.
I liked Sierra saying that claiming an addict is relapsing and lying about it is a relationship ending accusation. And Amanda notes you're weaponizing his sobriety.
Completely.
Yeah. And I thought that was so, I was like, those two ladies get it.
They really
And
do.
Paige also gets it because Carl says, "Listen, I come with a lot of bad baggage," and Paige stops him and is like, "You talk very badly about yourself. Just because you're sober does not mean you're in the discard pile." And I think I was talking about this last week of like the running inner monologue of an addict, whether they're sober, usually when they're sober, if they're using, it's quieter because you can shut it up with your substance or behavior of choice. But an addict, sober and certainly newly sober, the inner monologue is so hateful and it's so intense and it's so constant. And I really appreciated Paige just stopping it and interrupting
I
it and saying, "You don't belong in the discard pile. Like, in fact, we should probably throw you a parade for like being here at all." He goes to Summer House. Do you see what all they do is drink? That's it.
all they do.
That's the whole point of the fucking show. And this guy, for 2 years in a row, maybe three, has shown up and just been a guy. And it's harder. It's harder to do life. It's harder to do a party. That's why I'm in support of his fucking sober bar. That community is massive. And if
I
Craig can start a
yes.
pillow business and nobody has a fucking problem, Craig, a former addict who used to lay in bed all day, he started a pill. What's wrong with my sewing? He's created a pillow empire. Why can't Carl have a bar with TVs that play sports for people who no longer drink? Come
I
on.
love, love, love that idea. I am no longer compelled by alcohol. I found cannabis and never looked back. I enjoy the taste of rosé. I enjoy the taste of a margarita. I will occasionally indulge still in a Campari and soda because I love the aperitifness of it all, but I get to cut the sweetness and the booziness with a bunch of seltzer water. I was in Portland last week. I will say that every restaurant that I went to, even like a, like a upscale like taqueria, they had at least 5 non-alc drinks. There is a significant need and market for the in the non-alc space to quote Kyle. I had the most delicious non-alcoholic mezcal cocktail in Portland. It was so fucking delicious, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can get with this shit. I can get with this shit."
Look, since the pandemic, so many people in my life have stopped drinking altogether or at least slowed it down. I barely drink at all anymore. And when I go to watch sports games, I hate it when the bar becomes drunk. Do you know what
Hate
I
it.
mean? Like by
Yes.
the third quarter, suddenly it's like, no, this is changing into
Yeah.
something that's like
Yep.
there's too much fighting and too much
Yep.
yelling. I literally want to watch the game. So I would totally go to a place like that. Also, for the some there are so many people in Los Angeles, many people. I know lots of them who are on these weight loss medications and they
Yes.
they absolutely quell your desire to drink. So my friends don't wanna go to bars anymore, so let's go to Carl's place and, like,
I would
fucking watch Summer House
yes,
and have a mocktail and a fucking appetizer. Like, it
completely.
sounds great to me. Maybe I'm just
Yeah.
old, but, like, old
No,
people like to go out too. So,
I
eat
think
shit,
it's a great
Lindsay. I
idea.
hope it's a huge success.
And it's like, yes, I what does it say? Like, how many years does it take for an eating or drinking establishment, anything in hospitality to
3.
go from, like, being in the red until, like, it's profitable? Like, years and years, you
Usually
know?
3 years, and that's what they say is that it's the liquor that tips you, but I bet if he gets good investors and if he gets a good location in New York, I mean, there's something
I would
about her I
go
still haven't been because the line is all every time I drive by, the line is around the corner, and I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna stand in the
to wear
heat."
something about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think just, on, like, Summer House Cachet alone, I bet he could turn a profit in a couple years, if not before. I bet it would be packed, and
I
I don't
mean,
know.
there are 3 places in, Oregon where I can send Carl to do R&D. In fact, another Bravo, okay, Gregory, remember Gregory from
Yeah.
Top Chef? I went to his restaurant, Sisal, Saucil, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know it. It's in Portland. I went there, in my last trip, and the non-alcoholic offerings took up an entire page. This is Gregory's restaurant I went to. By the way, it did not feel like I was in white ass Portland. It felt like I was in Harlem, or it felt like I was somewhere in downtown LA. Like, it was just the decor and the clientele and the people working front of house. Like, it was fucking very it's great. Like, I love that place. But yeah, so Gregory from Bravo has large non-alcoholic offerings at
Well,
his
and the whole
restaurant.
point is
It
it's
was
a
great.
price point thing. You can
Yeah,
charge $17 for a great mocktail,
you
which is
can.
the same that you could charge for a cocktail. So I do think it's not the same world that we're living in 10 years ago that Lindsay seems to think it's hopeless. It's not. I'm willing to pay a little more for like a mocktail at like a, I don't know, just to have the experience of having a cute glass and some fun ice.
Dude, if people are gonna pay $20 plus for a smoothie from Erewhon,
No
and, like,
shit. Yep.
I was paying a lot of money, and that was in 20 like, I left LA in 2011, and I was still like, "Oh." Like, I would stop at that juice guy that was, like, quasi across the street from Kings Road, and I would spend so much money on triple lemon, apple, ginger, fresh drinks, like fresh juices. I bought a juicer, like, what a fucking I was just Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's not why anyone called. I'm just saying that especially in LA, if he did that,
Well, and
I think it would
but
be
also
gangbusters.
I think what he's marketing is community. Like,
Yeah.
at least in LA, there are known spots where alcoholics gather before and after meetings, and it used to be like Denny's and
Yep.
IHOP and like bleh. If they could have like a bougie place to go where you could get a water if you don't have a ton of money, but you could also spend a few bucks if you do. Like I just he's creating a gathering place for people who have money to spend and want somewhere to go. And I just don't think it's as hopeless. I didn't believe in sewing down south, and what the fuck do I know? He's opening a new shop in Tennessee, or I don't know. He's all over the place.
I mean,
There's a market.
there
There's
is
a
definitely
market.
a market for a lot of the vintage stores that I follow on Instagram are based in the South, and pillows are a big part of their whole, Palm Beach Regency, uh, Hollywood Regency, just preppy stuff, and pillows play I can see why Kyle, Car no,
Craig.
Craig, Jesus. I can see why Craig is successful in that way, and it's
I
like being
do
on Bravo
too,
doesn't
but
right.
but telling me if a partner came to me and said, "I'm gonna open a brick and mortar pillow shop,"
Yeah,
on a really expensive block, I would be like, "Gulp, okay," and then I
yeah,
would prepare to be broke. I would
yeah.
never have seen it, but that's the thing is, like, there's proof that the concept of a Bravo celeb-owned store, no matter what you're selling, can be a massive success,
It
so
can be.
And Carl
Um,
said that he's non-alcoholic the non-alcoholic space, it's his passion. It's a reflection of how he's living his life now. It's his calling. He used the word calling. And I have learned that the definition of vocation or calling is where your greatest skills and the world's greatest needs intersect.
oh,
And
I
it
wanna cry
feels
when you
like
say that. Yeah.
that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Carl's skills and passions, and he has a good reason to, uh, anyways, I Lindsay's so flippant and rude, and it was just sad that Carl had to clarify that he wasn't a deadbeat and that, whatever. They get into this conversation about money, unless you had something before that, about how
Well,
everybody earns.
I just wanted to say Lindsay throws out in a very like, she's trying to get that jab in, like, "Well, we did mushrooms at a music festival, like, a week before."
That was on the Peacock extended version.
Yeah, that was in the Peacock extended version,
That was
yes,
disgusting.
and
That
it was disgusting, and now this made me definitely okay. Margie and I were just talking about at the beginning of this episode, or before we hit record, like, I've been wanting we've both been wanting me to share my ketamine journey as a standalone episode for since we started this podcast over a year ago. So I think we'll probably be doing that in the next couple of weeks because we're going to have a little bit of dead air between this wrapping up and then Orange County starting on July 11. We did Orange County last summer, so we're going to do the same thing. I mean, again, those women never give us anything less than whatever to talk about. And you know what I'm looking forward to, Margie? I wonder if because, a lot can change in a year. I've done ketamine for a year. We've been doing this podcast for a year, just life. I wonder if I'm going to go as hard for Heather as I did last year. I mean, we have a lot to talk about with Shannon and her drinking. Uh, Tamara continues to be just an utter shitbag in the world and on her podcast, Two T's in a Pod. And, you know, Alexis is coming back.
in bed with John Jansen. She's
Oh
not just coming
God.
back,
Oh
she's
God. Oh
coming
God. Oh
back
God. Oh, it's just so gross.
all over John Jansen.
So, where I was going with this is that psychedelics and sobriety, I don't know anyone personally that abuses psychedelics. Are there people out there that do? I'm sure. Is it known that one of the co-founders of AA found his sobriety with the assistance of LSD? No, it is not. And when I learned about that from that Netflix documentary that Michael Pollan did called Change Your Mind, which, we could do a whole episode or 5 about Michael Pollan and et cetera, but that's not here and there right now. My point is, when I was watching this episode about LSD and I learned that one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was the basis for the 12-step programs that helped me for years and years and years. When I found out that his sobriety was aided by doing acid, and same with his grandfather, and I didn't learn about it because the other people on the board of AA at the time, again, other white men, they said, no, we want this program to be focused only on the spiritual aspect of recovery. So no one was allowed to learn this. People knew about it. I felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me. I had to stop the documentary. I think I cried. I feel like I'm on the verge of tears right now. I had to stand up and walk around. I felt like my entire world. I felt like I just found out that like one of my parents had a separate family, or one of my parents was actually an aunt or an uncle and not my mom or my dad. Like I felt like a bedrock of my life had been seismically shifted when I learned this because I didn't know about this. I can speak from experience that psychedelics have the one psychedelic I've done so far. I've never done acid recreationally. I never did ketamine recreationally. I still to this day have not done MDA slash Molly slash ecstasy. Um, but I have done ketamine, and the changes it made for me were swift and noted and remarkable. and I am a fundamentally different person. Now, I do believe that people who are sober, I also think that the spectrum, we are finally seeing that alcoholism and drug addiction, it's a spectrum. It is not black or white. I am 100% in support of people who are sober from cocaine and alcohol, like Carl is, for sure, just alcohol. If they want to further their sobriety with the use of psilocybin or ketamine, I can only see that as a positive. That is my take. And I would not see them as not being sober if they were to incorporate that in a medical clinical session setting and then doing it on a protocol outlined by a doctor, which is exactly what I do. I have an MD take my blood pressure before. My whole point is that it is not just doing drugs. These things have been proven over and over and over again to help people with PTSD, help people with depression, help people with a whole host of mental issues. And so if Carl wants to experiment with doing psilocybin on his journey to in sobriety at this point or a point down the line, I'm all for it. It's a spectrum. I believe we're now referring to it as substance abuse disorder versus just straight alcoholism or drug addiction. And I think that that is a really positive direction for this to be moving in. I hope I made sense right now.
You did. I mean, I don't have those addictions to drugs or alcohol, so I don't know. I mean, I do understand in that in AA and NA, it is like a clear abstinence thing, like you stop. And like that was not my experience. I came in as into OA where they say wear abstinence like a loose garment. Like um, there's many ways to work the program as there are people in it. The idea, they said the only thing you can do perfectly is keep coming back, and your recovery will reveal itself to you. The way I started my recovery would be considered an absolute outrageous binge for someone else. I was told just to eat 3 meals a day and stop. And my sponsor said it doesn't matter if you pile it up to the ceiling. The idea is that you don't throw it up and you don't eat in between. And it's just that's how I found recovery. That's not, and I tried 10,000. I was in program for 2 years before I found anything that worked for me. And I wasn't willing to do that until I'd already had 2 years trying the diet programs and the weigh and measure style. And there's all different ways. So, like, my only experience with 12-step programs has been um, a road that gently narrows as I keep coming back.
Mhm.
It's clear to me when I'm using behaviors or substances to numb out.
Yep.
And now it's clear
Yep.
to me when, yeah. So I don't know. I think I I was just disappointed. I was so grossed out by Lindsay because what she said in that Peacock extended version was Carl was just at a music festival and he was high on mushrooms. And Carl was like, we both micro dosed and said, we're never doing this again. And that to me shows Lindsay's like she's not Carl is the designated patient according to everyone, but Lindsay has an addiction to lying or omitting pieces of the truth that are relevant to the
Manipulating her
story.
reality and or the
Yeah.
perception of her reality.
And it
Right.
just is that was so cruel. It was so intentionally cruel. I really it really bothered me. It bummed me out
It was such a
enormously.
bummer, dude.
And it
Yeah.
also is like if because the reason I'm in Al-Anon is because people's drinking and drug abuse bothered me. And I was really clear, like, I don't like being around certain people in my life. If I see them start drinking, I leave because I know where this is headed. So that's very different than Lindsay with her boyfriend, whose addiction she claims to have a real problem with. She's engaging in the substance with him. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Talk
Right.
about the goalposts moving.
Right.
It's like you won't define for him what you want, but you condemn him for everything he does. And that to me, I can hear it in my tone. That is what the alcoholics in my life have done, where they set up an expectation. I get excited to meet it, and then they move the goalposts. So I'm
Right.
constantly disappointing them. I'm constantly being told what a failure I am. I constantly believe that and try to reconfigure my shit to like reach whatever the newest landing place of the goalpost is. And it's so it's really hard to love someone who does that. I just felt for Carl. I know what it's like to love someone who treats you that way
Yeah.
because part of you knows you're capable of giving them what they want. But then what they want always changes or amends in like just a slight enough way to make sure that you can't satisfy them. And it's just devastating. So, anyways,
Totally.
they're just a
Totally.
mismatch. They're just a
That's
mismatch. They're
just all
just a
the that's all it
mismatch.
is. That's all it is. Not saying it's not painful, not saying that there wasn't love there. Yeah.
They tried
Um,
it and
they
it
did.
didn't work.
It didn't work. It didn't work. Oy, oy, oy. Yeah, then Lindsay says she did apologize for that comment, but it wasn't off camera. Oh God. So in my opinion, then she didn't apologize.
No, Lindsay's doing a real whole lot here to like try
It's
and
this
make
she's Tom
herself.
Sandovaling, dude.
That's the thing is she wants to be Ariana, but she is Tom Sandoval. And this
Bruh.
whole conversation about like being blindsided, it's like Ariana was blindsided. My sister was blindsided when 20 years into her marriage, she got a really important piece of personal information from her husband that would have changed a lot of things a long time ago. I
Sure,
was
sure.
blindsided when I was asked to get married, when a man asked me to marry him and he was already engaged to someone else and just expected me to say no. That's blindsiding, Lindsay. May you never experience it. But we watched this season when Carl was like, this isn't working. We haven't talked in 3 days. All we do is fight. I'm not coming till Saturday because we cannot spend more than 15 hours together without killing each other. What are you blindsided? I'm like, what are you talking about blindsided?
Right.
You were not. You were just embarrassed, and that's fine. But like you've already moved on. You're rich. You're spending 14,000 a month on rent. You have a boyfriend that you love. Like you just got embarrassed. Can't it just be that instead of making Carl like, oh, he was planting seeds all season. He was twirling his mustache and tenting his fingers and planning this. No, he was not.
Right.
He was in love with you and it was really complicated. And I believe him. He had that conversation with his parents and I totally understand why he showed up at the bridal shower. He didn't want that to be so. So he took the actions of someone who's in a functional relationship because he expected he could figure out how to make this a functional relationship. Has nobody been in a complicated relationship before? Has nobody fallen in love with someone who's wrong for them? Why is everybody like, why did you go to the bridal shower then? Because he still thought he was marrying her.
Yeah.
You don't just one day have total clarity and make a decision. It's a sad, fucking heartbreaking process to end a relationship that you thought had potential to go the distance. It's sad. The end.
I agree. I agree. Oh God, yeah. He's like, "Dude, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out too. I brought flowers because I don't know what I'm doing."
And
He's
I love you.
he
Like that's the
right. He was
complicating factor is like through all of the fighting, through all of it, if you love the person, that overrides everything until it doesn't.
right.
And that is a long process
And
in my
that I would
experience.
say is harder about
Yeah,
it's like it I would say it's easier to end a relationship with someone when you don't love them anymore.
for sure.
But when you still love that person, but your gut is telling you this person is not right for me, you're not just gonna like walk into that and be like, okay, well, I don't think we're right for each other. I'm gonna go. It's like you just keep prolonging the inevitable because you know it's gonna hurt like so fucking bad.
And you want to try everything,
You wanna try everything.
it's I've shared this with people in my life before. I used to listen to talk radio just because there were no podcasts back in the day. And I used to listen to Dr. Laura, who, yes, generally sucks. But she said one thing that I found valuable that she said, if you're in a committed relationship, you have to earn your way out. Try
Mhm.
everything to save it. And if nothing works, you'll be out clean. And I feel like Carl was doing that. Like he knew what was wrong and he was still trying to work with Lindsay on like, can we make this work? How can we try to fix this? But they couldn't fix it. They hadn't talked in 3 days. the last time they spoke was when the cameras were up, and she's surprised that the cameras are up when she talks to him again. They were recording each other anyways as they had fights.
Oof.
I mean, part of me feels like Carl couldn't have ended this without a third party present. I don't think he could have gotten to the end of the conversation.
Interesting.
I think he had to have I
Interesting.
mean, it probably would have been better if it was in private with the therapist, but, like, I also feel like if Lindsay was gonna end this engagement, cameras up, full glam,
Interesting.
and she would have been like, "Fuck you, I'm moving on." Like, anyways, I'm all over the place.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, and then we get like, speaking of, that's when Gabby, at least on the Bravo on the Peacock version, that's when Gabby says, he shouldn't have broken up with Lindsay on camera, and then there was discussion about whether it should have been on camera or not, and Andy says producers came to him and told him personally they did not know that that was gonna go down.
Mhm.
And then everyone's like, "Why were you guys gonna get married? Like, what the fuck?"
Well,
So,
that bothered me. That's so reductive.
yeah,
How dare you guys? You're sitting on the couch with Amanda and Kyle. Uh, what do you mean? You told them not to get married. Like, it happens. Love is complicated. It's deeper than, like,
right.
that whatever.
She doesn't
Yeah.
miss him as a friend anymore.
I don't think she ever thought I think she had no respect for him.
It didn't seem
S
like it at
I think she
all.
was so ready to move on. Clearly, 6 months out of the relationship, she's in love and on a marriage track with a new guy, and apparently pregnant. That's, like, the latest rumor.
That she's pregnant?
Yeah, apparently she was supposed to do The Traitors, the 3rd season of The Traitors, but she was let go because she's pregnant. It's probably early days. She has suffered a miscarriage before, so it's understandable that maybe this isn't being, made public in any sort of certain way, but, like, good for her, and but also, especially because you're in that situation, just lay off Carl. You don't have to be so right and vindicated, especially because this is a case of only there are no victims, only volunteers. You chose Carl. You don't like Carl, but you wanted to get married real bad. So you tried to make it work. He did the hard work and broke up with you. And now you're right on to the next, no problem. And meanwhile, he misses her, hasn't kissed anyone or slept with anyone. He's, grieving in
Yeah.
his own way and wishing her well. And like that sounds like, you know, I don't
To
know.
which he says he finds that embarrassing that he hasn't hooked up with anyone since. I was
He
like,
is so hard on himself. It's so
he's so hard
sad.
on himself, you know?
And he
Shit,
says,
man. I just couldn't believe that's what he Oh, sorry, I was talking over you.
"No, no, no. What finish your thought."
No, I just felt bad that he was beating himself up for not
Yeah.
I mean, God, I don't think that that's anything to be embarrassed about.
No, and in fact, I think his last line was so profound and wrapped this up in a way that made me really happy. He said, "I think we both wanted this next phase of our life, but it wasn't right." And I was like, "Yes." And that to me encapsulates the complexity of everything. We both really wanted this, and it wasn't right. So the outcome is the best one for everyone, and it's excruciating. It's so
Mhm.
painful. It's
Mhm.
painful personally, and it's painful publicly for them. Like, I don't envy having to move through this, but, like, they'll be fine.
They're gonna be
Lindsay
they're
doesn't give a shit.
no.
Just think she's like a robot for wanting to be a wife and a mother, and
Oh,
Carl will
Jesus.
find his way to I believe now that he's, like, working in and towards his passion, he'll find a better match
I do
when
t oh,
he's
for
healed.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. For sure. 100%.
And then
All
Andy
faith in
cuts
that.
off Kyle's mullet, and we're done. We did it.
Yes. We did it. We did it. Yeah. It was good. It was a good it was a good end of the reunion, and it did feel like it needed 2 parts, and I'm glad there wasn't 3.
Me too.
And
Although I think we could have spent a little more time figuring out Kyle as opposed to just focusing on, like,
oh,
Amanda and Carl,
yeah.
but I wouldn't have wanted a whole other
I wouldn't have
part.
wanted to
No,
yeah,
thank
you're
you.
right. That would be yeah, maybe next year. Maybe next year we're gonna
Um,
get into Kyle,
I don't even know if there's any there, you know what I mean?
unless they
It's
don't
just
do
like,
next year.
"Oh, they'll do
I don't
it.
know. Yeah,
Once
it
I
feels like it.
heard when they were talking about money and, like, I did love Andy Cohen for being like, "Alright, so you come down on Carl for being a cast member and an influencer, and what's your job?" And she goes, "Well, I'm a cast member and an influencer." And
Mhm.
and he was like, "Okay." But then someone made a side comment saying, like, they make a shit ton of money doing this show. So, like, nobody's leaving. And, like,
You're right.
if you can afford $14,000 a month rent, not mortgage, this isn't ROI here.
What the
This is just
fuck?
welcome to New York and being super rich. So, get it,
I think
guys.
I think the reason why she renewed the lease is I bet that the new boyfriend is moving in.
I bet he's rich. Of
Yeah,
course he is, that's what she wants. She
a
doesn't
guy in
want a
finance.
partner. 6'5", blue eyes.
Totally.
Um,
What else did you watch this week, friend?
well, per your recommendation, I watched Clipped, and I've only seen the first 2 episodes, but it's perfect television.
Perfect. It's just
It's
everything you
amazing.
want, everything you want. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
weirdly a period piece, even though it was only 10 years ago, but
right.
because technology and everything changes so fast, it feels like a different era. Ed O'Neill should win every award ever in
I
existence.
forget that it's him.
Me too.
It's
He's so
wild.
perfectly god awful. The dynamic, like, the story is so compelling. It's funny
God,
somehow. Like,
totally.
I am obsessed with it. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're
And then the other
please.
thing I watched was Perfect Match, which is just atrocious.
Is
You
it?
just
Okay.
I mean, it's just people who have no interest in commitment pretending to be committed because there's $250,000 on the line. And this Harry Jowsey character, good lord, he comes in being like, "I've been in therapy, I'm changed," and, like, immediately is offered 20 seconds of temptation and, like, succumbs, lies about it, throws up because he's tortured by like, it's kind of amazing, stupid reality TV, but it's all people who will do anything for $250,000, you know? I get it, I'm not mad at them, but the concept of the show is so stupid because it's like nobody here is like, "I can't wait to settle down, find my
Oh god, of
perfect
course
match."
not. I mean, at this point, we should just all assume that everyone just wants Instagram/TikTok TikTok
TikTok.
followers and, like, to be an influencer. Like, that's all the only reason why anyone goes on The Bachelor, that's the only reason why anyone goes on any of these shows. I will recommend the article about, it came out in the May 2024 issue of The New Yorker. There is an article, mostly about Love is Blind, and, one of the couples on Love is Blind, and just how somebody did go on that show for, as a way to find a partner, and then just kinda shows, like, what we all, hopefully we all know by now how the sausage is made. If no one has ever watched Unreal on Lifetime, I think it was Lifetime, it might have ended on a different network, but my point is that if you can find on our myriad streaming options a show called Unreal, it was written by a former Bachelor producer, and people have co-signed that it is a very realistic idea of what it looks like to be a producer on that show and how the sausage is made. It's fascinating, and I highly recommend if you're looking for a summer watch as opposed to a summer read or to accompany your summer read, check it out. It's good, especially if you love reality TV. So,
Yeah, I mean, I just
yes,
think the fantasy of those shows is totally blown. Like, it's called
100.
Perfect Match, but literally everyone on it is just an absolutely known fuckboy. Like, so Harry Jowsey is on it, and then his best friend Dom is on it. Harry broke up Dom and his last girlfriend by sleeping with Dom's, and now these guys are still best friends. It's just like it's so chaotic and insane, and it's just entertainment, I guess, is my point.
Okay.
It's not like I'm not watching this for like relationship interest in their relationships and hoping someone goes the distance. It's just greedy, horny chaos. So
And
if you're in the mood for that, it's perfect.
is this the one that Ariana is,
No, she's Love
no, she's
Island.
she's Love Island, that's right,
Mhm.
okay, okay, yes,
I haven't watched that, but
yes.
how about you? What have you been watching?
Let's see, well, I was in Portland last week, so there wasn't a lot of, time for me to watch TV. I finally caught up with the 3rd episode of Clipped last night, loved it, it's so fucking good, like, I just that you're right, that show is just chef's kiss. I finished The Sopranos. I finished The Sopranos, and I just can't believe I'm so embarrassed that I actually ever thought twice about what happened, and everyone was, like, up in arms, like, "What? How did it end? How did it end?" Like, the writing was on the fucking wall the entire last season, and that show just I wonder if that's kind of part of why I feel a little bit of malaise today. It's like that part of, like, yes, post-travel, post-family, that weird in between time where, my son is still not in camps. So what are we going to do? But, just like it's just this weird time. But also, I get very moved by movies and television. I am a creative person that went to school for acting. I love and surrender myself to good TV and good movies and good theater. I'm all in. My suspension of that fourth wall, like, I give it. Like, you take it. You don't even need like, I don't even need collateral. Like, I know I'll get it back when I need to get it back, but, like, I want you to have it. And the acting, the caliber of acting and storytelling in that show is just it's otherworldly. It's not human. It's God or universe given. And, I'm sad, and it's like, I don't think I can mentally do a yearly rewatch of that show, but maybe in another 10 years, I'll watch it again. But I am going through think pieces. I joined the Sopranos subreddit, and it's just such a great fucking show. It is so fucking good. And the last season is chilling just from the mental health perspective, just from, like Lorraine Bracco just God, she's such a great actress. Edie Falco is resplendent. She couldn't be any different than Edie than Carmela Soprano in her real life, and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Anyway, so I finished that, and I actually wanted to talk about a book I started reading.
Uh-oh.
I started reading
This is where I fall off.
it is I'm
Okay.
reading Maria Bamford's memoir called
Oh,
Sure, I'll Join Your Cult, and she talks about being in 12-step programs, and I'm only a few chapters in. I had a smile on my face the entire time I was reading it, and, she has had 2 shows on Netflix. She voices the anxiety mosquito on Big Mouth. She also lends her voice to other projects. But it's a great book, and it's like when a book can take me away from watching TV, I really get excited about that book. And it's a memoir, and she's hilarious. So, and she
yeah.
talks about being in 12-step rooms. She talks about it. It's just real interesting. It's a really interesting read and
I
hilarious.
love
So
her.
I
I'm
do
glad you
too.
brought that up.
I
I'll
do
look it up.
too. So, and that's the only reason why I brought it up is because I feel like it pertains to what we talk about here. So, yes. And what was your antidepressant?
It's funny, we sat down to record and I, like, couldn't think of anything, and as we started this recording, I almost stopped it because I started having a panic attack. Like, I
Oh,
could feel
no.
you'll hear it when you go back to edit, you'll hear some, like, shallow breathing but I knew, I was like, "This isn't real." I'm familiar enough with these symptoms that, I was like, "I know what's happening right now. I don't know why. I don't know need to know why. I just need to, like, keep breathing and just doing that exercise of like, can I get a deep breath? Yes. Is my throat really closed? No. Am I fainting? I'm not. Am I really going to barf? No. It's like all of those, my hands are sweating, but I just know that my body is processing something. I don't know what. I'll look into it with the outside help later. So, this podcast is like a real time antidepressant, anti anxiety medication for me.
Mm.
And I it's so funny because when it started happening, I was like, "Fuck." And I looked at the time and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll see if I can just, like, ride this out for, like, 5 more minutes." And I don't know when it went away, but, like, that's the gift of, like, being in conversation with someone who knows you and loves you. Because I also felt safe that, like, if it didn't go away, that I could be like, "Hey, I wonder if I really am having a heart attack. I'm gonna go to the ER."
Fuck
But
yeah, dude.
but I also know better, like, I know that's not what was happening. I know it's a little bit of a stressful moment in time, and I think my body I sat down with someone I'm comfortable with, and my body was like, "Oh, good, we can relax and just process all of
Yeah,
this
dude,
in the weird
seriously.
way that we like to do."
Seriously. And I wanna acknowledge that you cognitive behavioral therapized yourself while still talking on a podcast.
I mean,
Margee.
I know I guess after enough years of this, like, I know I'm safe, I know I have resources, I have medications to if the anxiety got really bad, I could take something to, like, stop the physical problems. I also knew if it was a real heart attack, it would persist, I wouldn't make it through, I wouldn't be able to talk about Carl and Lindsay if I was having a real heart attack.
Oh my god.
So, yeah,
Wow.
that's decades of, therapy led to the tools that made this be, this interrupted a panic attack. That's, like, what a gift.
Wow,
Thank
friend.
you. I love
Oh,
you.
god. I
Thank you,
love
Summer
you.
House. Thank you, Bravo.
Right?
Thank you, everybody.
Right? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Friend, I'm so proud of you and inspired and also here for you
I
if we
know.
wanna talk offline and, you need to process
I
anything or you figure
literally
it out.
don't know what it was about.
I get it.
Literally have no idea. And
I
that
get it.
sometimes that's just the nature. Sometimes I know if something is, like, looming ahead of me or if I'm ruminating on something behind me. I have no idea, which is why I didn't stop because I was like, "There's absolutely nothing to even talk about. This is literally just a physiological response to some emotional something or other that needs to work itself out." So,
Proud of you,
mission
friend.
accomplished. I love you.
Proud of
Thank
you.
you.
I love
How about
you.
you? What was your antidepressant?
It was really lovely being in Portland with my family. I got to go to my niece's graduation. I just like, the more I get to know my niece, like, the more and it sucks living so far away from her, sucks from living so far away from my whole family, but, like, the more I just see her growing up because, like, when you're a grown up, it's like I'm not in a stasis, we're not in a stasis, but it's like we don't have those significant milestones all the time. We're not, like, changing from day to day and week to week and year to year like a teenager is, like, those are huge. And so we saw her, like, her promotion from 8th grade to go to 9th grade next year, and I just really like her group of friends, and Leo just seeing Leo with his cousin, just loved it, and it was great being with my family, and there were some, difficult in the moment conversations that were had, but it all led to, good things, and the weather was great, and there's just a lot of transition happening for my people up there, and it was good to be there for them and with them during that, and, this podcast too, for sure. Like, I feel energized by it. I don't feel good when we're off schedule, but I also acknowledge that, like, I can't be, like, gripping onto something for dear life because I think I should. Life happens, and that is okay. And it's been really good to be home, and I have an antidepressant coming up. I get to go away. I try to meet some of my best friends in Palm Springs twice a year, and we're going this weekend. It kind of just came up at the last minute that we were all able to go, and I can't wait. My suitcase is already half fucking packed, so fuck it. Plus Palm Springs, here, throw in a caftan, throw in a
Mhm.
couple bathing suits, throw in some sunscreen, throw in a toothbrush. You're fucking done. You're
Mhm.
done. What you wear in the morning to go grab a coffee is what you wear to go get dinner that night. You know what I
It's
mean? We're
the
just gonna hole up
best.
in the house. We're gonna hole up in the pool, and we're gonna hole up with some AC at night. Like, it ain't nothing.
It's
It ain't
so great.
nothing to
I
pack for
love the
PS.
desert.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it.
I'm
I'm really
happy
looking
for
forward to
you.
that. Thank
That's
you.
gonna be good.
Thank you. And Father's Day was yesterday, and I was really happy to be able to celebrate my husband and, what a great fucking dad he is. And my family all sees what a great dad he is too. And Josh did not grow up with no fucking role models on how to be a good dad. None. Nope.
He's an amazing
He's an
dad.
amazing dad.
I
And,
love watching both of you guys parent. It
thank
is
you.
miraculous
It truly
because
is.
nobody had any guidance
Yep.
or meaningful examples, and yet,
And yet,
it's stunning.
whew.
So,
So, therapy,
yeah, man.
therapy. Both my husband and me. Yep. And, it's anyway. So, yeah, I mean, we did it. We're only an hour and a half in. We're fine.
Did great.
Yeah, we did great. We did great. You
Um,
did great. We did great.
we made it through.
We did. We did.
Well, we'll figure out what, next week's subject matter will be, so
Yeah.
come on back and find that out, and in the
Yeah.
meantime, take really good care of yourselves,
Please
and
take really good
we'll
care.
talk next
Yes.
week.
Just yeah, take the deep breaths. Talk to yourself in that moment when the panic comes up. Like what's really going on? What is happening right now? Am I breathing right now? Yes. Am I on fire right now? No. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I tired? Do I need a nap? Do I need a cheese stick? Do I need some almonds? Who am I holding a resentment to? Like whatever. Just be there for yourself in that moment or don't, but just do it with love. And I could use that same thing, man. I mean, I know for me, Margie, I suffer from that same thing that Carl does. Like, I beat myself up because I'm still trying to be the person that my parents wanted me to be when I was a kid. And if I wasn't that, were they going to love me? And they were just the blueprint for everybody else's love that I felt like I needed to earn by being something extra, extra, extra good, not just being Ramona.
Mm.
And my mother pointed that out to me, and I'm gonna be 50 fucking 2 next month, and I still am looking for that, and I didn't even know it.
It's a lifetime pursuit,
It is.
and yeah, it's like it was a revolution when a therapist told me that, like, you don't have to earn love. It's like the sun shines on you just
Yeah.
because it shines. It's
Like,
like, "What?"
what?
Love is like the sunshine, you don't have to, like,
It's
beg for it,
true.
audition for it, perform for it,
I
like,
don't expect
hide
this
your faults
from
from it.
nobody else in my life. I don't expect them to do
No.
half the shit that I do in order to be worthy of love. But I'm gonna fucking do my dance for you lest I lose it.
It's
It's so
crazy because, like,
sad.
the deepest love that I have access to is with the people who I know everything about.
Totally.
So how hilarious that I think
I
I have to
know.
be the one to just be in a constant, like, cotillion dress with all of my manners in
It's
place. What a
insane.
joke.
It's
It's
insanity.
a
It's pure
sickness.
insanity. And we're talking about this because we were all triggered by fucking Bravo shit. So
Yeah.
fuck everyone who doesn't think reality TV is a gift. I double fucking flipped. Anyway,
Well, we'll be back either later in the week or
yep,
next week with
yep.
more of something. Ketamine, probably.
Probably ketamine. Yes. Rate, review, subscribe, please. It helps us so, 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 so much. We really appreciate it. And you can reach us at a therapeutic dose on Gmail at gmail.com or at a therapeutic dose on Instagram. And that's all I got to say. I love you. Have a great week. I love you, friend.
Love you too, friend.
All right.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.